What's up, guys? This is Brave, and I'm back for another review of Love and Marriage Detroit. This is Season 1, Episode 5, and let's get right into the review. So, you already know we're starting right back at the skating rink. And you have LaToya. She is trying to get some understanding. She's like, why does Brandon feel like Kobe is copying Christina? And what type of things have you told him, Christina? Because to her, it sounds like Christina has been talking to her husband, like, you know what? I'm doing this event. Next thing you know, Kobe's doing an event. Like, it's low-key given that you've been complaining about your homegirl to your husband. So now Christina is feeling some type of way. She tells LaToya that she's jumping on a bandwagon. And I'm like, girl, what bandwagon? Now, LaToya, she's like, girl, your homegirl just went out the room crying, and you're not even gonna try to, like, fix it. Like, she's supposed to be like your sister. Y'all call each other big sis and little sis, but there's nothing sisterly about this conversation. And let me tell you what's not helping any of this. Brandon taking jabs at Kobe. That was not helping the situation at all. So, we go outside. We see that Russell is trying to calm Kobe down. And one thing is for sure. She don't want nothing to do with Christina. And I don't blame her. No, I was waiting on Russell to pray over the situation, but that's not what happened. I'm like, this is your time. This is your time to shine and prove that you really try to walk right with the Lord. I feel like he was supposed to grab Kobe's hands and say, you know, we're going to put a prayer in the air. I'm like, come on, future pastor, this is what you're supposed to be doing. Bringing the people together. But that ain't what we got. So the skate rink party is over. Now, we do see Anthony go see Russell and Kobe outside. And according to Anthony, he would have busted Brandy in the mouth. Yes, I'm going to move forward and call him Brandy instead of Brandon. Because, yeah, I don't like the way he be talking to women. And honestly, I don't like the way Antoinette talks to women either. Because we ain't going to ever forget the way he was talking to Christina's homegirl, Chelsea. I think that was her name. Yeah, we're not going to forget how you were talking to her. So I'm not giving you no passes, sir. It's just that right now we're focused on Brandy. Now, one thing that I noticed is that Kobe said that Brandy and Christina were fake. And one thing that I realized is that fake word has been thrown around a few times when it comes to Christina and her husband. And I feel like the couples feel like Brandon and Christina are fake because they are trying to live a life that they don't really live. I really think that's what's happening here. Because it's interesting how they get on the show. They just happen to be moving to a penthouse in New Detroit. Like, no, it's called that first check cleared because y'all signed on to do a show. And now y'all about to probably stunt and put on airs. And then act like y'all are better than people when really that ain't the truth. Because let's be honest, ain't nothing coming out of Star Factory. And Christina, I'm not sure exactly what type of influencer you are, but I feel like it's new to you as well, the same way it's new to Kobe. That's all I'm going to say. Because in the next scene, we have Christina meeting up with her friend Chelsea, right? And they are going to a storage unit because according to her, they packed up all their stuff. They're selling their house. You know, they moved to New Detroit, whatever that means, because I ain't been to Detroit. And she had to go there to look for all these, like, different fabrics or whatever, because she's supposed to be designing an outfit for her homegirl or whatever. And I'm just like, how convenient is it that you have all these fabrics just in a random closet, or should I say storage, when you made it seem like you haven't been designing clothes since you had kids? And that was started, 7 years ago? So how you just got these random fabrics? Also, if I was her homegirl, I would be like, ma'am, don't have me come to your storage to show me, like, some fabric swatches. Girl, can we go to a store so we can see the modern fabrics? I don't want nothing from 7 years ago. Nonetheless, they talk about the whole situation with Kobe. Now, as I'm listening to Christina talk, y'all, the only thing that I can think is you need to talk to the owner of the brand. because the way we have these two conflicting stories make no sense. And also, why did this brand owner feel it was okay to put you and Kobe together? Like, I don't know. There's something off about this entire situation. I don't know if they are just using it as a storyline. They told the Harper Ray girl, the owner, like, hey, we're going to mention your brand a bunch of times, but we're going to make it seem like there's a conflict with the two girls so that we can have drama on the show. I don't know, but it's not making sense to me. Because if I'm a brand owner, right, and somebody comes to me with an idea, even though I already have my roster of influencers who are working on campaigns for me, and yes, they may be similar, what I'm not going to do is tell one of the influencers to say, hey, actually, I already have an influencer doing that concept, but you can reach out to them and see if y'all can collab. What brand owner would do that? Nobody. And then, even when it comes to Christina's side of things, again, I don't see how a brand owner would be like, hey, yo, homegirl, I see that y'all are friends. Maybe y'all can collab on this, even though you already have a running campaign. No, you would want to renegotiate that campaign and say, hey, this is in addition to what I already have going on. I just feel like we have all seen plenty of brands, and when you look at their social media or whatever, you will notice that a lot of the content is very similar. And what one person's campaign has to do with another, nothing. Like, you could definitely have two girls with similar ideas pitched to you, and you actually take on them both. It doesn't have to be that they're collaborating. I just feel like, if anything, if we're going to follow this storyline and say that, the owner of the brand reached out to them and said, hey, you can go ahead and reach out to your homegirl so that way y'all can collaborate on it. I feel like she was trying to kill two birds with one stone. Both y'all are on the same TV show. Why not have y'all do a collaboration since y'all already work together? I feel like that's the vibe that we're on. But let's go ahead and move along. So now we get to this man's meeting, y'all. First things first, why is Brandy walking in with a shirt covered in Christina's face? And it looks like it's her giving the side eye. Like, what is this? And I feel like Christina is a very pretty girl, but that wasn't even like the cutest picture that she had. I know that for a fact, okay? So the meeting starts, and here we go with Antoinette. He is up there going on and on about how they're going to have marches and do all this stuff for young men. And I'm like, what is going on? Because at some point he said that he wanted this march that he wants to have. I'm not going to say they. This is the he thing. He wants to have this march with 300 or 500 men and young men. And I'm just like, so where you going to round these Negroes up at? Now listen, I ain't from Detroit, but I'm just trying to figure out where is Anthony going to round up 300 to 500 people, young men and older men. Where you finding them, sir? Good luck. Just good luck with that. So next thing you know, the others who aren't a part of the show, they start chiming in and, oh, this is going to be so great and all this stuff. And I was with Brandy the whole time. This is when me and Brandon, we were on the same playing field. Because in his confessional, he's like, did I miss something? Because what is going on here? It seems like Anthony was just up there talking, and the guys, because we're on TV, we're going to make it seem like this is just such a great thing when we ain't got nothing in motion. Then, on top of that, you had Ant basically saying like, oh, I'm going to have Russell and Brandon speak for a couple of minutes or whatever, and then we're all going to walk out of here like men. I said, what does that even mean? And also, you said that, but really you meant, hey, Russell and Brandon, can I see y'all after this meeting is over? We have some things to handle, but everybody else, this meeting is adjourned. I have no idea why he made it seem like Brandon and Russell were going to talk in front of the group. Like, sir, please just stop talking, Anthony, please. Because if I'm being completely honest, I feel like nothing important was said. his little, oh, we're going to have a men's march. Sir, you could have sent that in a text message. You had these grown men meet up here for 5 minutes just so you could get, a few shots of you handling business with your men's movement. Get out of here. So everybody ends up leaving. You have Anthony, Russell, Brandon, and Bravo, right? Here's the thing about Bravo. I'm going to need for him to be more present on the show because everybody got to always re-explain stuff that happened because he ain't never there. And I'm just like, so is Bravo a cast member or what? So they break it down for Bravo, what happened between Russell and Brandon. Now, Russell tells Brandon, or should I say Brandy at this point, that if he was not saved, he would have broke every bone in his body. Now, Russell tells Brandy that he can't trust him, that basically they don't want to deal with Brandon and Christina no more. Like, the way they handled the situation and the fact that, he was trying to go after his wife, Russell was not feeling it at all. And what's crazy is that, Brandon was kind of acting like Kobe wasn't nothing. He really was. And I looked on social media, y'all. Kobe has more followers than Christina. I said, that's real interesting. So here goes Brandon, though. He basically is scared, okay? He is scared and shaking in his boots while he's sitting in front of Russell's face. You can tell he don't want no problems. He don't want to get roughed up. We learned that Russell has disinvited them from his wife's birthday party. Brandon had to stand on the fact that, he came at Kobe kind of hard. And, he's like, I'm sorry about that. He has to apologize. All of that. So let's go ahead and move on. Because we have Brandon and Christina. They go to the lake or whatever. It's, I don't want to say a celebration, but it's basically to talk about the anniversary of his dad's death. We learned that his parents got divorced when he was 13 years old. He has a rocky relationship with his parents. And he tells her about this men's movement meeting. Now, Christina feels like Russell is being dramatic. And she's taken aback when she heard that Russell was going to whip her husband's behind. But I'm like, girl, he was talking about this man's wife. You don't think he's going to stand up for his wife? Oh, wait, it's because you're not used to a man sticking up for you. You're used to the way Brandy treats you. I get it. So she feels like Russell is doing too much. And I'm just like, no, he just don't play about his wife. But Brandon allows you to be disrespected every chance that he gets, because that's when he gets to be a big man on campus and chime in and disrespect you as well. But nonetheless, they talk about how, they aren't invited to the birthday party. Now, according to her confessional, though, she's like, I wasn't planning on going to that party anyways. And I'm like, whoa. That sounds like you have some type of underlying issues that have been happening, because why did you say you weren't going to go anyway? As if you already heard that her birthday was coming up, and if she was throwing anything, you weren't going to show up. Like, did you ever like Kobe? Like, what is happening here? At this point, I'm like, you know what? This friendship is over. We can go ahead, let that ship sail. So now we have Anthony. He goes to see Brandon, and, he's at the Star Factory. And they basically talk about the men's movement meeting and how Russell was acting. So now Bravo pops up because they got to talk to him about the showcase. Now, Bravo and Ant, they have been getting things done without Brandon. They have had solo meetings. They have had all types of things going on. So now Brandon is trying to find out what is his role in this whole situation. All he can do is gather up talent. And I'm like, well, technically, that is kind of what your role is going to be to begin with, because you're the only one who kept saying, oh, my artist needs to, perform. My artist this, my artist that. It does make sense that your role in this is, providing the talent, Bravo's providing the location, and yeah, you should work on promotions because I don't know what else you will be working on. So, next thing you know, you can clearly tell Brandon's feeling away. Because Anthony says that, he gonna try to help out with a little bit of everything. And I feel like Brandon is like, wait a minute, you are stepping on my toes. Now, I will say this. I think that Brandon is a little bit jealous of Anthony because it seems like all of his friends are about their business and they're go-getters. And I don't think that that is something that Brandon is. The more that I think about Brandon and his little Star Factory situation, it makes me realize that he's waiting on talent to help him boost his career. Because he needs to find somebody that can sing, rap, dance, do something, so that way he can manage them and then try to help boost their careers. But really, it's you trying to, hustle your way onto the scene. Because I feel like Brandon is the type of person, of course, he lets his looks go to his head, very light skin of him. And I honestly just do not see it for Brandon really trying to find artists in Detroit and trying to make them into a star. Because when you think about it, why does Brandon really need to go to the club, y'all? There's no talent in the club. And I mean, people may go to the club to have a good time or whatever, but when you have social media, that is where people are posting, them singing. You can see people singing in their car on TikTok. You can see people singing, all over social media. Ain't nobody singing in no jazz club. What are you talking about? This is why I'm saying I feel like Brandon is a fraud. He is trying to find some type of artist that could possibly put him to the next level of whatever that is. But let me get back to the conversation at hand. Brandon, he's like, okay, so what's the splits? And they're like, what splits? There aren't any splits because there's no money in this showcase. And I was like, yeah, why would you think that y'all are going to split up any type of money? And where would you be getting this money from? Sponsorship or something? Because you have new artists that you're trying to, have a showcase for. Y'all are supposed to be calling, the heavyweights of Detroit. I guess maybe some producers or whoever to judge the showcase. What money could possibly be made? See, Brandon's broke. That's another problem. Brandon is broke in comparison to his friends because he ain't making no stars at the Star Factory. And that shit be eating him alive. But nonetheless, Bravo ends up leaving. No, before Bravo leaves, Anthony, he basically tells Brandon that he can't trust him after the whole situation with Russell. Because Brandon and his wife are always into something, right? Now, here's my thing. That situation with Russell had nothing to do with Anthony at all. However, Anthony always trying to make anything else his business. He makes Brandon and Christina his business because half the time he's the one who's stirring up the mess. He got, always getting involved with something. So he's trying to use that to push Brandon on out of the showcase. That's what I feel like is happening. Nonetheless, in his confessional, Anthony says that they are going to move on with the showcase with or without Brandon. I said, oh yeah, Brandon, baby, you done got booted. So next thing you know, Anthony ends up leaving and we just have Bravo and Brandon there. And now Brandon, he feels like Anthony is stepping on his toes because he really does this music thing. And basically, Anthony is just talking. And I'm like, no. I think the difference here is that Anthony realized that he had a family to provide for, and he went and got a real job, and then probably made the music thing a hobby. Because if y'all remember, when we first met each couple, Anthony said that he worked for Live Nation, which is a touring company, aka he went and got a real job, so that way he could provide for his family. But he also had a studio or some type of production company or something, which I feel like that was his side thing. Unfortunately for Brandon, though, he has music and that's all he got, even though it ain't getting him nowhere. Because I'm really trying to figure out where's the money coming from in a household. Because it cannot be coming from Brandon. It has to be coming from Christina. No wonder that girl be stressed out. Nonetheless, we get to the party, y'all. It is Kobe's party, and it looks really, really nice. When she gets there, it's like she didn't really seem too into it because she says she doesn't like surprises. But once she started like working the room, you can tell she was happy. She saw everybody that like she knew, and it was all good. So she actually sees LaToya there, and they talk about what happened at the skating rink. And Kobe is clearly hurt that Christina didn't want to collaborate with her, as well as treating her so badly. So next thing you know, Russell, he ends up popping up or whatever, and he does tell his wife that he did not invite them to her birthday party. We learned that LaToya came to the birthday party while Anthony went to go talk to Brandon and Christina. And it's clear to me that LaToya don't like Brandon and Christina. She ain't been feeling them since the first episode. Now, one thing about LaToya, y'all, she don't say nothing when she should. I feel like there's been plenty of times when she should have stopped her husband, but she don't do that. But I feel like she's the type of person that listens to every word that comes out of people's mouth and then judges them based on that. Well, I wouldn't even say judges them, but like she notices characteristics about people and the way people are and how they treat people just in the words that they say. But let's go ahead and move on. So we jump over to Brandon and Anthony and Christina. So they all meet up or whatever, and Brandon is feeling like Anthony is painting him out to be the bad guy. And here's the thing, y'all. I don't want to be on Anthony's side, but I was a little bit. Just a little bit. Because what we're not going to do is play the blame game, sir. You need to take accountability for what you said and what you did. Like, take out the fact that, you know, you've already had issues with your wife that you let everybody else be a witness to. And half of that stuff Anthony stirred up. But when it comes to this Kobe situation, you could have just stayed out of it. Especially when you just see the difference between how Russell was responding versus how Brandon was responding. Russell was trying to come to like a calm solution of like, hey, y'all are friends, like y'all don't need to be arguing like this, versus Brandon, who's like, looks like a Kobe cat to me. She's been copying my wife. Like, come on now. Like, it's crazy of all the times that you could stand up for your wife, you choose to take a stand against her friend, her actual friend. But when Anthony is disrespecting your wife and coming for her, you have nothing to say because he gives you a little bit more backbone. Yeah, I'm sorry. I have to give a side eye to Brandy, okay? So here comes Christina. And I'm giving her a side eye because she feels like she's not the one who was raising her voice and she got called selfish. And I'm just so annoyed with her at this point because I'm like, all because that girl raised her voice, that does not negate anything that she said. Please stop. And then also, the fact that you're like, well, I didn't yell. Why are you trying to sound like a victim? Please stop. So at some point, there's mention of LaToya or whatever. And basically, Anthony's like, my wife don't do drama. And I feel like LaToya is definitely the type of person that lives a peaceful life. Like, it's her kids, you know what I mean? They probably have a routine. All this drama that Kobe and Christina got, and then Christina and Brandon got, she ain't used to that. And she ain't trying to hear none of it. She is sick of Brandon and, what's her name? Christina. Absolutely sick of them. And Anthony, he's like, you know, trying to explain that his wife is cool with both parties here. Speaking of party, we jump back over to Kobe's birthday party, and Kobe is standing on the fact that their content isn't the same and brands can work with multiple influencers. I do agree. Brands can work with multiple influencers. However, their content is similar. Like, this is not like, one of you is doing lifestyle content, and then the other person, they do movie reviews. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not that different. Okay? So, Russell, he says that, at some point, he would like to revisit a conversation between the couples at a later time. It also is clear that Kobe clearly feels disrespected by her former friend. Now, when we jump back over to this other group, though, Brandon says that they all play a role in this. And I'm like, not really. Because your role could have been very different. Brandon then mentions the showcase. And Anthony is like, well, he's already been working with certain people in Detroit. And when stuff went down with Brandon and Russell, he started to see Brandon for how he moves. And Brandon is asking him about these separate meetings that Bravo and Anthony have been having or whatever. And Anthony's response was very interesting to me, because he's like, well, if you're going to question me about it, you need to go question Bravo. I said, okay, wait a second. Because Anthony has a point. Because why is it that I've had multiple meetings with Bravo? He knew you wasn't on the phone. He knew you wasn't showing up. So why didn't Bravo reach out to you and say, hey, Anthony is over here having separate meetings without you, or this is what the meeting was about? Because Bravo probably don't see it from Brandon either, y'all. I think that Bravo is out here throwing Brandon a bone, saying, hey, you can go ahead and invite a couple of your artists, but I don't think that these people take Brandon seriously, y'all. I really don't. Now, here comes Christina, and she's saying how Anthony and LaToya are bandwagon jumpers. Now, he tells her not to play with him. And I said, Anthony, were you raised in a house full of women or what? Because right now, you're back to giving Antoinette. You're back to giving Antoinette. So, Brandon, he feels like, the Russell situation is separate. Now, I do agree. It is separate from business. However, people can see your true colors and watch how you move and operate around the people that you say are your friends, and they can absolutely say, hey, you may do some snake stuff to me. And that's how Anthony feels. Anthony's like, I'm not about to do business with someone who's snaking somebody else that we're all supposed to be cool with. And I'm like, I have to agree with Anthony. What people fail to realize is that people are always watching you and how you handle situations and how you respond to things. And you can tell a lot about a person by the way that they treat other people. Because if they can do it to one person, they can do it to you as well. Like, let's just call a thing here. Y'all, that was my review on this show. I feel like some of the characters are trying to have redeeming qualities here. I said, I never thought I would agree with Anthony on anything. Ever. He's not working my nerves this episode. But yeah, what do y'all think about this whole Kobe and Christina situation? Do you think this was cooked up just because they're on a TV show? Because I just still can't see any brand owner doing any of those things. What do y'all think about Brandon being kicked out of the group? What y'all think about this episode, y'all? Go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. And I will talk to y'all in my next review. Bye, guys.